Before starting off, thank you for all staying a bit later. I think there's like 30 trades in the queue or something like that, so wanted to get final word that we could talk about some of them. First and foremost, I want to thank Nick Paul, Josh Brown, Zach Sanford for their time in Ottawa. Different timelines for all of them, but I think they all contributed or will contribute to us having a good culture here. All three are character guys, so I think it's important to thank them for their time in Ottawa. I also want to just, because I'm sure it'll be asked, once I get to it, we've called up Michael Delzato. Travis Hamnick will not be in Long Island tomorrow. He'll join us in Winnipeg. And we've also papered down Philip Gustafson, but recalled him.
Do you have to paper him for the playoffs?
Yes. So, on that note, please ask your questions.
You said probably 10 days ago that you thought this might be your quietest deadline ever. I think you were the busiest GM in Canada. What changed in the last 10 days?
Sometimes we know, especially in Canadian markets, expectations, pretty much what I thought would happen, happened over the last few days as far as players being traded, just by the number of calls you get leading up to the deadline of their interest in those players. So I don't know if anything changed. Expectations, sometimes you want to calm people down. You don't want people taking the day off just to watch Trade Center. So
what do you kind of see going forward here, Pierre, as far as with the moves you made today and the openings that you have on your roster?
Well, obviously, for us, some of the players we moved along probably weren't going to come back next year. So it's to give them a chance to earn another contract, give them a chance to play playoff hockey. Most of the guys that we trade are going to get a chance to play playoff hockey. And at the same time is, just give chance to the guys that we got here. Obviously, now we only have 12 healthy forwards. When Drake comes back, most likely Saturday, we'll have 13. When Travis joins us for the game in Winnipeg, we'll have 7 healthy defensemen. If Thomas does come back before the end of the year, and that's a big if, we'll have 8. If Jake is all right to play, which is another big if, that's 9. But it gives guys a chance to, maybe, improve their stock value with us. One thing with DJs, you got to compete, you got to play hard. And, I think you just want to be respectful to those players. You want to be respectful to their families. No one talks about this. But a lot of families move today. A lot of younger kids move today. And no one ever talks about that. You make calls and, you tell yourself, like, a guy, maybe a kid won't be in the same school that he'll be for the next 5 weeks, and no one ever talks about that. And maybe it's the softer side of me, but they're tough discussions sometimes to have. I didn't really have to make it today, but there could have been calls where guys with families could have been on the move. And you think about players' wives too. They've made a lot of friends when they've been here, and we're all human beings, and we all care about these people, whatever their performances are on the ice. You care about them, and you're affecting their lives, and that comes into play. It's part of the job. Sometimes it's part of the job that you don't like.
And speaking of players on the move, somebody who won't be on the move is Anton Forsberg. What went into the decision to keep him for 3 years?
Mm-hmm. Well, after James Duthie asked me the question this morning that he was our best goalie and I had to correct him, just felt that it was probably something that we needed to do. I'm kidding a bit, obviously. We'd been talking with the agents for the last few weeks. We just felt that Anton's brought a lot of stability to our net this year. We're over 500 when Anton's in the net. Sometimes, you don't get goal support for other guys, but we just feel that I've always said, and it's not a knock on anyone else. I've been here a long time, and he was one of the hardest working guys I've seen at any position. He works for everything that he's earned. Obviously, he's got a young family, and, it's maybe a call I didn't want to make, because he's always been on the move, and he deserves that contract, and in the work he's put in, he's well liked by the guys. The guys play hard for him. So for us, it just brings stability to the position. Obviously we're not going to hide the fact that Matt's been injured, and a lot of it is bad luck. And, we think Matt's going to have a chance to play before the end of the year, but it just brings us stability at the position, and he's earned it. I think if you look at analytics in goals save above expected, I think he's top 5 in the league. And if I'm wrong on this, I know, oh my God, Twitter's going to go crazy. I didn't have my facts right, but I think he's high up there, and he's given us a chance to win every game. And, if the tandem is him and Murray next year, I think we're in a good position, especially the way Matt played for a little while.
How will things shake out next year with 3 goalies under contract? How do you envision that playing out?
DJ Smith will play the best one. Simple as that.
What about the 3 other position players incoming and a goaltender added right at the end there?
Yeah, obviously we're really excited about adding Matthew Joseph. He's a guy that we've been looking at for a while. He's someone that has great speed. He's tenacious. I think he's scratching the surface. Obviously, not that I want to ever talk about my calls to players, but after I talked to Nick yesterday, I called Thomas Chabot, and I told him, I know Nick's one of your best friends here, but at the same time, I think we got a pretty good player. And he goes, who? He goes, well, Matthew Joseph. He goes, oh, he's one of my best friends, and it's worked out well with Josh and Brady, so maybe it'll work out well with Thomas and Matthew. But he's a guy that I think on a stacked Tampa team, and credit to them, maybe he didn't get the offensive opportunities, but he's produced in junior, he's produced at the American League level, and he's someone that we're really excited about. He plays with speed. I think he's going to fit in well here. I don't know where DJ is going to play him, and I always leave the coaching to him because we got a good coach. And then excited about him. Obviously, Travis Hamnick is someone, and I'm going to go a bit more in detail on that one. And I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I didn't look at Twitter once yesterday, and I got home and the girlfriend said, don't look at Twitter. I said, what do you mean? So I didn't look at it, by the way. And Travis Hamnick is someone that obviously a few years ago we were interested in him, didn't work out. He's someone that obviously Jack Capuano has a great relationship with. He's someone that wants to come here. That's one thing that when we talked to him, DJ, Jack, and myself talked to him. He was really happy. Then he called me back to tell me how he was really happy. Obviously, he's had things in his life that we can't control, and I'm not going to get into that because that's a private thing. And, he's happy coming here, playing whatever role he's going to play. I think he's someone that is maybe not as people describe him. He's a guy that can make a good first outlet pass. I think he'll stabilize our defense. I still think he's a very good skater. He's not the player he was when I think Calgary paid a high price from the Islanders. Let's not fool ourselves. But I think sometimes you don't give a chance to players, and give this guy a chance. He wants to prove how important of a player he can be here, and whomever he plays with, and that will be up to DJ. But I have no qualms about that decision. At times you get into a catch-22. People want you to get better right now, and you give up a pick, and then if you just get picks are great, but we've got a lot of picks, and we made those picks to make sure we could get them, and we didn't have a 4th, and they weren't going to take a 5th, so at times you just got to rationalize what it is, and that's one decision that I stand 100% behind, and wherever he plays in the lineup, I'm not going to say he's going to be first pair, second pair, third pair. Wherever he plays, he'll play, and we'll let the chips fall where they may fall. But I can tell you the coach is happy to get him. The guy who coaches the defense is elated to have him, and the boss, me, I'm happy to have him here. So I think let's just calm down a bit, and maybe I shouldn't go into this, but you look at the market for right shot defensemen, look at the free agents that are coming, and you know what? Maybe if you want to pay 7 years on a guy, but we're not there. There are certain players that are past their prime. And at the same time, if Lassie Thompson or JBD are better, they're going to play. But you always got to be careful with defensemen. And it's not about are they good enough to play. It's what happens to their confidence when it starts going bad. And that's what our job is, to think big picture here. And that's why no qualms about making that deal. I feel very confident about making that deal. Obviously, we moved Zach Sanford for a pick. And the last addition was Michael McNiven. Obviously, we're not sure if Matt's going to come back. Obviously, Gus is going to play some games from now to the end of the year. Obviously, he's not at the level that he was last year for us. I'm not making it a secret. Matt Sogart's going to get a game or two at some point in time this year. It's always been the plan. I told that to the coach about 2 games into the year. Before the end of the year, Matt's will probably get a game. Obviously, Mando could have maybe got a game also, but he's hurt probably till the end of the year. So we got Mike McNiven to help us in Belleville. Also, the other last player is Zach Zenition. Local guy, obviously was a high pick. It hasn't turned out in Boston. He's someone that has great speed. I think he's going to start in Belleville. To be quite honest with you, I don't care if it's a 7th or a 6th. The deal was obviously it was Josh Brown for a 5th, and then we pay a 7th, and it was 2 deals combined into one. If Zach plays 5 games, but if he's one of the best players down there, he'll definitely get games up here. Whether it's a 6th or 7th that we give to Boston, it doesn't matter to me. I think you always go on merit, and whoever should get the player. So, sorry for my talking a lot, but sometimes I know you like to listen to me. Some of you.
Is Zenition someone you've been interested in for a long time?
Yeah, we liked him as a draft year. He played in the Sioux, and he's a local guy. I don't think he's really had his chance. Whatever reasons are, some guys don't get our chance with us and they perform well, but I think he'll be someone that that if he plays well in Belleville, he'll definitely get games. Go ahead.
You mentioned when we chatted with you for the deadline that in an ideal world you're going to get a top 4 defenseman. Does Travis Hamnick fit that bill for you?
I think we just let, as I said, Ian, we just let the chips fall where they'll fall. You know what? I think Travis has a lot of good hockey left. I think he's ready to prove it. In talking to him, it was so refreshing. He's going from a team that's contending for the playoffs to a team that, hopes to contend for the playoffs next year. And he wants to show that, and I think having someone that has played as many games in the role that he's played, and he's not the player he was with the New York Islanders, but we still think he's got a lot of good hockey. He was playing top 4 minutes for a team that was contending for the playoffs. Last year, I think he was 4th or 5th in minutes played, but they got Quinn Hughes and they got some good defensemen there. So we just really like the fit. And sometimes it's you look at what's going to be available and you say, well, is this a better option? And as a hockey group, we felt that this was a good option. And the fact that he's coming here right now gives us a head start. Ideally in a perfect world, if we could put our team all together that we're going to field next year in early October when we start the season, it'd be perfect for us. But some of the players are still out there. Some are going to be free agents. There could be trades. We know it's close to a flat cap. So, there's going to be player movement, and, it's up to us to make sure that we bring in the right players.
And you mentioned that you had some interest in Hamnick in the past. Did you consider when he was on waivers in October just picking him up then at no cost?
I think there comes other reasons into that, and I just don't feel it's fair towards Travis to talk about it.
Yeah, fair enough. Michael Del Zotto's back.
Yep.
Why the long gap in between us seeing Michael Del Zotto at the NHL level?
I think we wanted to see Branny, see what he could do. I think for us, we just felt that Michael played probably good with the puck, but needed to play better away from the puck. We've talked to him about it. I talked to him today. Like a lot of times, Peter makes those calls to tell guys are coming up. On certain times, example, Matt Murray, I talk. I tell them they're going up, they're coming down. I'd explain the situation to them. And it was a very good conversation with Mike. He was very appreciative. He's going to come here and hopefully play the way he's played in Belleville, because he's played great in Belleville. He's helped Belleville win games. There's no doubt about that. I watch enough Belleville games that I know that he's helped Belleville big time help win games. But at the same time, I think it's fair to him to perform.
When did you realize that getting Nick Paul done wasn't going to happen?
When Matthew Joseph came in the equation. Very simple. With Nick Paul, there was a lot of, there was futures deals, picks, prospects, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to go into exact details, but they're actual players. And for us, we don't want to take a step back next year. We want to take a step forward and bring a player similar, I think, might have a bigger offensive upside, me personally. The Nick might not be as good of a checker, might not have the bigger body, but probably brings more skill, more speed. I think it was just something when Julian put that name on the table yesterday. I said, that one is, got to think about that one. But there are other NHL players that were considered, some not UFAs, but guys with 1 or 2 years left, and you had to think about it. Now, we have Matthew under control for this year and 2 more years that we control. Then he could become a UFA unless we talk contract. I talked with his agent last night. He was a bit in shock, but he's excited for the chance to play. And I know when I talked to DJ and he talked to him, he was really excited about the chance. You're going from a team that has a chance to win a 3rd cup in a row, which can be pretty special, to coming to Ottawa. We're a team that hopes to make the playoffs. So I think, a mindset, it can be a different thing. It can be going playing golf with Tiger Woods or playing golf with me. Most people would choose Tiger Woods.
Is it disappointing though to see, there was a big investment in Nick Paul and his development, the time that went in, that it's another player that you've drafted and developed and that he's gone?
I think that's the game. It's not a disappointment. It's if you can't come to an agreement with a player, you get to a certain point where you're ready to pay a certain amount of money. You go above and beyond that because he's a good character guy. He was a big part in the room. He was very good in the community. But at a certain point in time, if you feel that you're getting better as an organization, we're getting a good guy also, a guy that'll play in Canada for the first time, I think you have to look at that. And it's not like we're getting a guy just for a year. We're getting a guy for multiple years, and you can't let personal feelings make any decision on your judgment.
Does this team have enough, let's say, that veteran presence to support the young guys? It's one of the things that's always said about teams who do make that push for the cup. You have to have the veterans who can support, and Thomas Chabot is now your most veteran player on this team.
Mm-hmm. To me, I think this group has grown so much over the last few years. And if you talk to Brady Tkachuk and Thomas Chabot, they're leaders. They're young leaders. But I think it says a lot about their characters. And we've brought in guys like Nick Holden, who, one of the best lines I heard, DJ went to him and said, Pierre and I thinking about giving you a letter. He says, I don't need a letter. I can be a leader without a letter. And that says that brings a lot of credibility in that room. Anton Forsberg, I think, has become a leader on this team the way he plays. I think whether we want to admit it or not, guys like Drake Batherson is becoming a leader on this team just by his performances. Guys follow him. He would have been his first All-Star game. I think we're not at the point yet where we're a cup contending team. I think once we get there, we might have to add pieces like a lot of teams have done in the past, and you got to respect them. But I think you got to let players find their niche and let them grow by themselves.
And just one more from me.
I got all the time in the world.
Okay, and that would be about Colin White, because
Yeah.
it felt like we heard his name starting to be thrown into the mix here. What can you tell us about where you see Colin White down the road with the Ottawa Senators?
Colin White is a versatile player. He can play both positions. He's here. So, and I'm not going to talk about rumors and innuendos. And you know what? Colin White, since he's been back, he's had some really good games. He's had some okay games. With Colin, it's sometimes it's about confidence. He does change positions. But sometimes it's an asset to change position. So he's here. So he'll play on Tuesday against New York Islanders.
Français? Oui. Ça va?
Ça va bien?
Ça va bien. Dis-moi, écoute, tu sais, sans aller dans les détails de chaque gars, chaque choix, comme tu as fait en anglais, mais peux-tu me résumer pour toi pourquoi tes dernières 24 heures sont de qualité cette année? De quoi tu es content?
Bien, on est content. Je pense qu'on est content. La première chose qu'on est le plus content, c'est l'extension de contrat à Anton Forsberg, quelqu'un qui a travaillé très fort pour où est-ce qu'il est en ce moment. C'est quelqu'un qui a été super pour nous cette année avec ses performances, nous donne une chance de gagner. Son pourcentage de victoire est en haut de 500. Donc, pour nous, c'est quand même très bien. L'acquisition de Mathieu Joseph, c'est quelque chose qui nous excite comme organisation. Quelqu'un avec, je pense, avec ses qualités de joueur de hockey, avec la vitesse, ses habiletés offensives. Je pense qu'à Tampa, on n'a pas la chance de voir jouer. Je pense qu'on va en voir plus avec nous. C'est quelqu'un qui est travaillant, qui rentre dans le jeu. Je pense que c'est quelqu'un, comme on veut bâtir notre équipe, qui va nous aider à gagner. Évidemment aussi, on a fait l'acquisition de Zenition, qui est un joueur local. C'est un ancien choix de première ronde. Quelqu'un qui va aller à Belleville, mais s'il performe bien, il va devenir à Ottawa. On a aussi acheté Michael McNiven comme gardien de but de profondeur, juste pour aider Belleville, parce qu'évidemment, Gustafsson va rester ici, mais à quelques moments, on va donner 1 ou 2 matchs à Matt Sogard cette année.
Ce que tu as abordé en anglais sur Hamnick, puis ce que tu jokais là, avec Twitter, va pas sur Twitter, le fait que plusieurs disaient, bon, est-ce que c'est le style que tu veux, etc., sans aller dans les détails, comme tu disais, qu'est-ce qui fait qu'il y a, entre guillemets, là, cette réputation-là, que les gens ne sont pas nécessairement contents de voir?
Je pense des fois, on doit regarder le joueur avant de l'évaluer. Puis c'est ça que je demande. On respecte toujours l'opinion de nos partisans. Je pense que c'est important. Mais en même temps, c'est pas exactement comme d'autres défenseurs. Je suis quelqu'un qui fait une bonne première passe, patine bien, peut jouer beaucoup de minutes, peut jouer un rôle offensif, défensif. C'est quelqu'un qui est très excité de venir ici. C'était rafraîchissant pour DJ, Jack Capuano et moi lorsqu'on lui a parlé hier. Et aussi, j'ai parlé une deuxième reprise. C'est quelqu'un que sa famille est très importante pour lui. Donc, c'est quelqu'un que je pense qu'il va pouvoir nous aider. Où qu'on le met dans l'alignement, ça ne veut rien dire pour moi. Mais je pense qu'il apporte beaucoup de stabilité à notre défense.
Dernière pour moi, par rapport à la valeur du marché cette année, tu as été surpris un peu. Je regardais du côté de Montréal, il y a des premiers qui sont échangés pour des joueurs quand même de soutien. Là. Toi, tu t'attendais à ça?
Non, je pense que pour nous, qu'est-ce qu'on s'attendait de faire, c'est qu'est-ce qui est arrivé. Les joueurs que je pensais qui étaient pour bouger, c'est les joueurs qu'on pensait qui étaient pour bouger. Quand j'ai parlé à Julien, un joueur de la trempe de Mathieu Joseph, pour nous, c'était quelque chose d'excitant. C'est encore assez jeune. Donc, non, je pense que le marché, c'est le marché. J'en parle toujours, c'est l'offre et la demande. Si quelqu'un veut vraiment un joueur, il va être prêt à payer. Puis des fois, tu as plusieurs sortes de joueurs qui sont au même niveau, donc la valeur est moins haute. I should have said that one in English. That was a good one. That's all right.
Pierre, when you just look overall at the day, or maybe even the last 24 hours, and reflect on what you've added, what you've let go, what's your emotion? Do you feel like you have set yourself up better for the future?
Obviously, we do feel we've set ourselves up better for the future. I think having the stability in goaltending, and to me, goaltending is the most important position, no matter what anyone tries to tell me. When I write my book, I'm going to write the first chapter, be secrets to winning, have good goaltending. So it's not a big secret. A lot of GMs that don't have goaltending, sometimes we talk about it. When your goaltendings are struggling because it's the last line of defense. So I think bringing some stability to our goaltending, I think that really excites us for obviously next year and beyond. I think obviously we're happy about the addition we made on defense. Obviously, we thank Josh Brown, but we feel as a group now we're better when we add Jake Sanderson to that group. And don't judge us on what's happened right now. Judge us what the roster will be when the puck drops or when we have our training camp. I think that's more fair to say. And up front, it's about giving some guys opportunities. And we did that. A few guys have moved on up front. Nick Paul's going to get a chance to play for the Stanley Cup. They're one of their favorites. Zach Sanford's going to be in playoff race. He's obviously won a cup before. So it's about getting a chance, but at the same time, you get a guy like Mathieu Joseph, and we're really excited about him. He can play right wing, can play left wing. It'll be interesting where DJ slots him in tomorrow night, and I won't be there. But I'm looking forward to seeing when he gives me his lines tomorrow morning. What are your lines tomorrow? I'm excited to see where he's going to put him, and whatever he puts him, I'll respect it. So I think I think we set ourselves up. Obviously, the team we have now is not the team we're going to have when the season starts. And that's what it's like one building block at a time. And it's just, sometimes you need patience, and as I said previously, we could put our team all together and have them play the last 20 games, it'd be great, but that's a bit fantasy world.
All good, everyone?
You.
Okay, thanks, Pierre.
Thank you. Thank you.